Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to be finding out which Ninja machine makes a better slushie. The Ninja Creami Deluxe on the slushie setting or Ninja's new slushie machine. I'll be comparing the results from both machines and at the end I'll give you the pros and cons of each method. So you ready? Let's get into this. When making slushies, the main difference between the Ninja Creami Deluxe and the Ninja Slushi is that the Ninja Slushi can make your slushies right away in about 45 minutes or so. The Creami Deluxe is primarily an ice cream maker, but it can do frozen drinks as well. The main thing with this machine though is that it doesn't freeze the contents, you have to do that on your own. So while the Slushi can make stuff right away, with the Ninja Creami you have to freeze your contents overnight. That being said, we're going to compare 3 different recipes so you can see how the different machines are affected by different types of stuff. These containers right here are called Creami Pints, and this is the thing that you have to freeze for the Ninja Creami. So our first recipe is going to be frozen lemonade. I'm going to be using this raspberry simply lemonade. I was actually going to do strawberry lemonade, but I saw this in the store and thought it sounded really good. So for our Creami Pint, we're going to fill this to the drinkable max fill line. Basically, when you're doing drinks in this thing, you have to leave a little bit of space at the top for pour-ins. You can even see it right here on the container. For scoopable stuff like ice creams, you deal with this side over here. And for drinkable stuff like frappuccinos and slushies and stuff, you use this side. So we're filling it up to this line to freeze it, and then we're gonna pour in some liquid on the top up to this other line when we process it. Simple enough, huh? So we'll put that aside. And for our second recipe, we're going to be doing something alcoholic. I would figure we do a frozen mimosa. So the mix right here, we're going to give it about half champagne, which is probably a little bit too much, but when I do the pour in, it's going to be nothing but orange juice anyway. Then we'll fill this up the rest of the way to that first line with the orange juice. Just like that. Okay, get that out of the way. And for our third recipe, we're going to be using actual slushy mix. I'm going to be using this sour apple stuff that I bought. Looks just like antifreeze, doesn't it? This gets filled in with water here. I put a little bit too much in there, but that's by design. The Ninja Creami really doesn't like putting water straight into it, so I'm keeping this mix as strong as possible. That way it won't freeze too hard. And I'll just have to remember that when I do my pouring at the end and just pour in with a little bit less of this stuff. Okay, looks good. Now that we got our creamy mixes prepared, gotta throw them in the freezer. Very important, when you put these in here, you gotta make sure they're sitting on a level surface because you want these things to freeze as level as possible. A great way to ruin your Ninja Creami is if you put it in here at an angle, because if it's frozen at an angle like this, then when the creamy blades come down, it's going to have a tendency to push them over to the side. And if that happens, you can bend the shaft a little bit and you can end up putting the blade into the side of this plastic container also. So don't do that. It's no bueno.
You know I don't speak Spanish. In English, please.
Now all we gotta do is wait.
2,000 years later.
All right, it's been a day. Let's take a look at these. Yep, that looks good. Ouch. And that's looking pretty good too. And our lemonade looks good as well. All right, we're gonna leave these in the freezer for a little bit here. And in the meantime, we'll fire up the Ninja Slushi. We'll do the lemonade first since it's easy and there's only one ingredient. So we're gonna pour some of this lemonade in here. We're not gonna fill this thing all the way up or anything. We're just doing enough to test this guy out. But we will get it at least to the minimum fill line here. Maybe a little bit past it, just for good measure. Just like that. Now we'll close this up, turn on our slushie. We're gonna decide what we're gonna do. This isn't frozen juice since it's lemonade, so I would say probably just the slush button there. I'm gonna leave it on the default freeze level. We'll take a look at this when it gets done and decide whether we need to make an adjustment to that or not. Okay, this looks like it's just about ready, and that took 22 minutes and 30 seconds. It hasn't beeped at me yet, but the texture's been about like this for a while, so we're just gonna call it done. And we're gonna move on to the creamy version. Normally you'd let these pints sit out for a little bit, but we're not going to do that because we're pouring in some liquid over the top of it anyway. So we're just going to pour a little bit more lemonade in here up till we reach the drinkable maximum fill line right there. Then we're going to set this into the pitcher, throw on the lid, and snap it into place. Put this into the Creami and lock it in. And we're just going to do the full pint. Now we just got to change this dial here over to Slushy, and then all we got to do is start her up. Alright, now that that's finished, let's see how this looks. Ooh, that looks pretty good. Not really slushy, that's almost like sorbet. So we're probably going to need to respin this. I might actually remove a tiny bit of this so we don't have any overflow. In other words, I'm going to eat some. And we'll add a little bit more lemonade. We'll put this back in here. We'll make sure it's still on full. Switch it over to slushy again. And this time I'm just going to do a respin. Alright, let's try this again. Okay, let's see if that did the trick. Ooh, that's looking pretty slushy. Let's compare. We're going to pour these and then we're going to sit them on the counter and take a look at the differences. This appears to be pretty thick, but keep in mind that the setting this is on is making it that way. The slushy is customizable, so I could actually make this a lot more runny if I wanted to. But I kind of like it like this. Here is the result from the Ninja Slushi, and here is what we got from the Ninja Creami. If you're looking at these pretty close, you can see a couple of distinct differences. The Ninja Creami version here, you can see probably a little bit more separation in there, a lot more liquid, but it's still really good. If I'm digging around in the top here like this, you can see that it's creating pools of lemonade in there pretty quickly. But really it's not bad. Now the one from the Ninja Slushi, if you're looking at this, I don't know how well you can tell on this video, but this is a lot more consistent. You can see if you're digging around in here that it's really maintaining its texture and shape a lot better. And if you're looking really close, I don't know if you're going to make that out or not. There's a lot more air bubbles in this, so it's a lot more aerated. Let's move on to the next one. Now we're going to move on to the frozen mimosa. So we'll pour in the champagne here. And we're going to fill this in with orange juice. Alright, now we just got to turn this on. And we're going to be selecting the spiked slushy. The default settings seemed to work out pretty good last time, so I'm just going to go ahead and leave it at that again. Remember, just like the last slushy that I made, if you don't like the texture, you can make it a little bit softer if you lower the freeze level and a little bit harder if you raise it up. This particular drink looks like it's almost all the way up, so I'm not sure how much harder you could make it, but you do have that option with this machine. Okay, it's been 19 minutes and it looks like we're about 2-3 minutes away from the slushy being finished. So to save some time, we're going to start the mimosas on the Creami. For this, I've already had the mimosa mix out of the freezer for about 10 minutes because I'm trying to get a little bit better result than we did last time. You can see that this swelled up a little bit in the freezer because it's got that champagne in there. So we're already pretty close to the max fill line for the drinkable stuff, but I'm going to pour some orange juice in here anyway. And I'm just going to risk making a mess. Put this into the pitcher again, throw on our lid, and by now you already know the drill. We turn it on, put this thing in here, lock it in, select full. We're going over to slushy, and we'll start her up. Alright. Oh, that looks better. Tastes good too. Alright, again we're going to pour the slushy from the slushy. Very similar consistency to last time, it looks like. And again, here goes the Ninja Slushi version and the Ninja Creami version. These two look actually a little bit closer, maybe has something to do with the champagne that's in there. But again, you can see it breaking down already a little bit here from the Ninja Creami. You can see little bits of orange juice starting to liquefy right around there. And here with the Ninja Slushi, that all looks pretty solid. Even if you're looking up in the glass like this and looking around, looking down at the bottom and everything, you can see that it all looks nice and solid here. And if I do that same thing with the creamy one, you can see pockets of orange juice starting to form in here a little bit. In fact, if I take video right from the top, you can really see the difference there. See all that melting going on right here? That doesn't exist at all on the slushie.
What?
Also, again, if you're looking really close, you can almost see individual air bubbles in this. It looks nice and light. Where here, it just looks a little bit dense. But like I said before, this is still a nice result either way. All we gotta do now is test the sour apple slushie mix. For our last comparison, we're doing the green apple slushie with actual green apple slushie mix. So we'll put in the slushie mix and we'll add in the water here. Hopefully I don't make a mess. We'll close this up, turn on our slushie, and obviously this is just gonna be a regular slush. Okay, our slushie is just about done. I did have to increase the level of the freeze by 3 levels for whatever reason, but that didn't take all that long. The entire thing took about 35 minutes to get it frozen. This is just about done, so now we can focus on the creamy. Okay, so we have our outer pitcher, our sour apple mix right there. I've had this sitting out for about 10 minutes so it could sort of defrost a tiny little bit and make this easier. So now all we have to do is add a little bit of water in here to bring that level up to the max fill line. Throw on the lid and lock it into place. And again, we're doing all the same shit. Put that in, full, switch that to slush, and we'll start her up. Hey, by the way, if this is your first time here and you want to learn some cool new recipes, get some great cooking tips and tricks and all sorts of other kitchen related things, then start now by subscribing to the channel and clicking the notification bell so you never miss a thing. Okay, let's check it out. Okay. Oh yeah, perfect. Looks pretty good. Okay, here's the slush mix for the Ninja Slushi, and here it is from the Ninja Creami. This one definitely doesn't have the same texture as the other ones did, but it's still really, really good in the slushie. But you'll see this has probably a better slush consistency. Maybe that's because this stuff is designed to be a slushie. I don't know. But you can see that it's really consistent all the way through there. And the one in the creamy, you can see a lot of air pockets in there, and you can see a lot of bands of just liquid in here as well. Could be the way I got it layered in there, but you do see quite a bit of sort of defrosted areas in there. Looks kind of pretty though, but I'm not sure that that's exactly what you want. Still pretty good though. This is a little tiny bit icy from the Ninja Creami. It did feel a little chunk in there, but I don't know, maybe that was my imagination. I don't feel it in there now. Over here with the slushie, this just looks, I don't know, it looks a lot more even to me. Even now, after I get done stirring this a little bit, you can see how white this is starting to look at the top as the juice is starting to kind of head downward and leave the ice by itself at the top. The Ninja Slushi obviously makes really great slushies, but the Ninja Creami makes pretty darn good ones too. However, when you're deciding which machine to use, there's some stark differences. If you already have a Ninja Creami Deluxe, the slushie setting on it works really great. The consistency isn't perfect, but it's pretty darn good and it's still a lot better than you'd get from a blender. However, making them with that has its disadvantages. First is the obvious one, where you've got to have your slushie mix made 24 hours in advance because you have to freeze it yourself. That may not be a big deal to you, but definitely it's not going to be a spur of the moment type of thing. Second, there's the capacity. The Ninja Creami Deluxe has a 3-cup maximum, which would be 24 ounces total. That means if you want to have slushies for a party or for a few people, you're going to run out really quick and you have to have a lot pre-made. Also, if you run out and you want to make more, then you're going to be shit out of luck. On the positive side, and it is a pretty big positive, you don't have to go buy another machine just to make slushies. Also, you gotta factor in that the Ninja Creami Deluxe can make other things, so it's more versatile. It can make ice creams, sorbet, gelato, milkshakes, and even frappuccinos. So you get a pretty wide range of textures and hardness. As far as the Ninja Slushi goes, it makes almost perfect slushies every time. The maximum capacity is 64 ounces, and it can make everything right away when you want it in about a half hour to 45 minutes. In addition to making slushies really quick, you can leave them churning in the machine for up to 12 hours and everything's going to be fine because it will regulate the temperature for you. That makes it a fantastic device, especially if you have kids or you're throwing a party. The downsides is that it's expensive, and also it's sort of a one-trick pony. You can make a lot of drinks, but there's not going to be a ton of variation in the texture. The last thing to mention about the Slushi is that you also are limited by your ingredients a little bit more. With the Creami, you have the option to do a lot of low or no sugar recipes, but with the Slushi, if you want to do something that's no or low sugar, then you're going to have to jump through a few hoops to get there. Fun fact, back when Ninja made the Creami Deluxe ice cream maker is when they started spelling Slushi without the E at the end. If they had that spelling trademarked way back then it probably means they had the Slushi under development back then as well. If you'd like a little bit more information about either one of these machines, I do have Amazon affiliate links to them down in the description of the video. If you buy anything through those links, I do make a small commission, but it doesn't change the price that you pay, 1 cent. Hey, Joe's Phenomenal now has channel memberships. For most people, you can see a join button down below the video window that you can click and see what type of perks I'm offering. If you're using an iOS device, you might not be able to see it, and if that's the case, I do have a link down in the description of the video as well. If you're watching YouTube on the television app and you're not sure how to get into the description, it's really easy. Just hit the menu button on your remote control, then push the up arrow, and from there you should be able to select the different options. From there, just make sure that you have the box with the title of the video highlighted and then hit the select key again. That'll bring up a list on the side of the screen, and one of the sections there is the video description. If you like this video, you might like to see this video right here where I review the Ninja Slushi. If that machine has piqued your interest a little bit, it's a great way to find out more about it. Well, that's it for now. I hope to see you back again here really soon, and until that time, I'm Joe, and I hope you have a phenomenal day. Take it easy.